Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Biz Show, wherever you are watching, wherever you are listening, thank you for being along for the ride. I am Costa. Normally I'm sitting where the very beautiful and talented Mary Burke Godwin is now sitting. Also, our financial analyst, Howie is with us here today. I'm behind the bar because, as we know, Sully's been dealing with some, what do you call, ocular issues?
Yeah.
Is that the best way to describe it?
Sure.
Both eyes fell out this time. So he's at the eye doctor right now, and he's getting them put back in.
Fixed.
Before we get started, let's say hello to the Day Trader Trio. Give me something, boys!
Hey.
You know, I think today, James, we're going to call it the Large Financial Program, and I'm going to call you guys the Amazing Three.
Hey, there we go.
The Amazing Three.
Yeah, and
Okay.
if Sully's got an issue with it, then we'll if I'm not here next week, you know what happened.
You can take his ears too, the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Howie Fonten is our financial analyst here on the Big Biz Show, and it's always great when we have him in studio as opposed to cramped up in your office in the Big Apple. Where are you? Are you Lower Manhattan? I've never asked you, where's your office?
Lower Manhattan. Yeah.
What floor? What building?
Well, I admit that there isn't just perpetual construction. I do use a background, but
Really? That's
but it's a blank white wall. It's a cube.
Sure.
On Water Street, so
Okay.
down in the financial district.
Do you have a view? I mean, do you have a window or
Oh
no?
yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Water Street down at the very end of Manhattan. You see the Statue of Liberty. You see the river. It's really cool.
That is cool.
It's a view of
I'm
Brooklyn.
headed to New York in a couple weeks, so
Let's go out.
I'm gonna come visit you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Perfect. We were just talking about it before the show. Fall. Perfect time of year.
Perfect time of year.
To be in the Big Apple.
Yep.
Yeah. What's going on with yields on long-term bonds, Howie? I woke up and asked myself, I wonder what's going on with yields on long-term bonds.
No, it's a great
What a
question.
coincidence you're here.
Well, listen, the last time I was here, we were talking about, what a crappy day the market had. But one of the things that happened that day, which is a little bit of a bellwether, is long-term bonds, for a very short period of time, became worth more than short-dated bonds.
Okay.
So that's what you want a good growth economy to have.
Okay.
For the last 2 years, since July of 2022, the yield curve has been inverted. And that the yield curve is just, the long bond divided by the short bond. And what it says is, you want to get paid for your money. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to lock my money up, I should get paid more for it.
Right.
The only
Right.
time that wouldn't be true is if you thought the economy was going to take a dive and you wanted to put your money in something more short term.
Okay.
So is this an indicator?
So it's the indicator, the most famous indicator, and it actually
Of?
a recession. So
I was hoping that's not what you were gonna say. Oh dear.
So
Okay.
So it's a big indicator of a recession, but it doesn't. It's really bad at telling you when it's going to happen. It just says it's going to happen.
Oh, great.
And we are now reversing that trend as of Monday.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of relief.
Okay.
It's since inverted back, but
Oh, it has.
it's the first time we've seen some light at the end of the tunnel, and it's an indication that maybe we have the soft landing scenario where we have a small recession or things slow down, but it doesn't become 2008. It doesn't become a COVID recession.
People jumping out of
So
buildings.
should we be thinking in terms of it's Wall Street? I mean, it's Groundhog Day for
Yeah.
Wall Street, kinda, or
I mean, if that reductionist a little, but
Yeah.
no, totally. The bellwether, the looking at the shadow. That's what happened on Monday. It looked at its shadow and said,
Great.
maybe I pop out.
Great.
Okay.
More happy news on the other side. We will talk to Howie, our financial analyst, about the job market and unemployment. People trying to get out there and find that job, especially people right out of college.
Was that happy news in quotes, or is that literally happy news?
Another.
It's in
As-
quotes.
The Big Biz Show
Spoiler alert.
continues after this. Stay here. Loft 100 Studios in sunny, super duper hot and disgusting Southern California. It's the Big Biz Show. Costa, Mary Godwin, our financial analyst Howie Font with us here at the.
How do you really feel, Mike? Jesus.
I don't do.
It's hot this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hot.
Nailed it! Hold on, time out. That's the first time.
was 2
Day Trader Trio, I love you so much, and that's the first time I've ever successfully just kind of said, "All right, wrap it up, boys." I nailed it that time. I feel really good about myself.
Nice
Thank
work.
you so much. Jared Coleman, who's our award-winning executive producer, can I get a tape of that? I set up so I can send it to my parents and they can put it up on their refrigerator.
Yes.
No, we're in the middle of a heat wave, but weather's supposed to change. But that's not the least of our worries right now. We were talking about yields on the long term and stuff, and the job market. And it's either unemployment or it's people trying to get jobs now that they're out of college. And are they failing spectacularly? Is it tough?
Yeah, it's so funny. Just quick tangent. Mary in the break gave some market update, just a quick news alert.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to go back to the Bloomberg so bad. Like, I don't know.
I know.
I'm a freak like that. But I am excited to talk about this. I know we talk about jobs a lot, and I'm sorry to be so repetitive to you guys in the audience, but I think it's really important because I think the signal's being lost, and it's not what should be more frontline news, top line news.
Yeah. Sure.
Is frankly just not. So, I mean, I don't know what your experiences are with young people getting jobs, but
Right.
It's getting harder and harder according to the data. And I was on a couple of weeks ago. Oh,
Sorry, meaning like right out of college with degrees and trying to find entry level jobs.
So for everyone across the board, but for entry-level jobs specifically,
Okay.
way more. I mean, and for minimum wage work, and we're seeing, I mean, Sully mentions this rightly all the time, people going from full-time to multiple part-time.
Right.
It's really sad,
Like the gig economy type of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
So is it? We've heard this almost for forever. I went to college and I got my degree in art history. I don't use my degree in art history.
Yeah, I was a social major.
I work well. I'm lucky because I was a journalism major in college, and I've used that more or less for the last 30 years or so. Were you a finance major or a business major or
Economics.
Okay, so you're using
Yeah, I'm using it. Yeah.
But is that number of kids who are, or people for that matter, who are actually using that degree for what they studied for in the workplace, is it minuscule?
I've got to think so. I mean, we don't. I didn't bring any specific data.
No, and I put you on the spot there. I'm sorry.
No. But I really, that is my observation, and I think we spoke a little bit about it. I think you guys agree, and that used to be more okay than it is now because tuition used to be way less.
Right.
So it cost you. The only thing it really cost you was time, and you were getting yourself together, you were maturing a little bit, you were getting a rounded general education in everything,
Yes.
Especially the first 2 years, the AA degree.
Yeah.
But that seems a lot less worth it if it's 10 years of getting out of debt afterwards.
Right.
If it's 4 years, maybe it's a little bit better. If it's 2 years, definitely go do it. Your education is worth it. But it's not worth any price. And so I think that's the trade-off that's happening.
The large man-child that is living in my house has decided to pivot after
He's
2 years.
800 months old.
252 months old.
Oh, I thought that was like
Yeah,
I thought that was a mirror joke or something.
No, it wasn't. Sleep late, eat, go back to sleep, get up, go party, come home, sleep, eat, the whole 9 yards. But Toph has decided to pivot. He wants to go to culinary school after 2 years of college and 2 massive tuition checks. He has decided that he wants to go to culinary school. And it does beg the question, I'm hearing more and more, I should have just gone into the field I wanted to get into and just said, screw college. Now listen, I want my brain surgeon to have all the training and the school on earth. But are there a lot of people there now thinking, just go get into the field you want to get into?
Well, my experience with this is it's so automatic, and we push this huge decision on people at 18 when then they're newly legally minted authority.
The brain's
sign
not even
contract.
formed yet.
Yeah, and you're trying to get them to
Yeah.
sign contracts that
Yeah.
are going to affect them for the rest of their lives
Right.
and at least their financial 10, 20 years.
Yeah. Sure.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I'm in the.
It shouldn't be automatic that you
right
go to-
now because I've got a daughter turning 18. She's a senior in high school. We're
Okay.
applying to schools. She's done dance her whole life. She's done school. She's excelled at both, and she's probably going to use that dance to get in as a dance major. But she doesn't know that she'll probably double major. But I'm like, all the investment I've done financially into dance.
Sure.
I'm thinking that's good, but. Then I don't know because she's like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, you know.
How does she absorb information, take advice? I mean, is she like,
Well,
I
she
definitely
doesn't
need
take
to go
any
to
from
school?
me,
Okay.
so that's not true.
Yeah,
it's
18
one
taking advice
position.
from mom. I should've known,
we
sorry.
have two college counselors, so I'm paying for one that's getting in academically through all the rigmarole stuff, and then one that's specifically dance colleges. She's going to help say this is where you want to go. But then another daughter is also a dancer, and she's like, I might just go to LA. And she said, I don't know if I'm going to do the college thing because she might do the industry first and
Yeah.
maybe do JC. And I'm like, hey, that's a great option too. I mean, there's so many options, and it is hard for them to know at 18. And I don't want to make that decision for them because it's their life.
Well, I don't think you have to know, but if you draw out the list of jobs in the world on a spectrum, maybe you can cross off certain sections and just say, I want to do this group of jobs. I really like corporate. I hate corporate. I'm never going to work in a cube.
Yep.
And answer some, personal questions that help you decide, actually, I will need a 4-year degree for this, so maybe it is worth it. Or, can I handle the silly, I think, societal shame of not going straight to culinary school?
Right.
Right.
I think it takes courage because of the
Yes.
pressure that we put on people, but we shouldn't put that pressure on people. They should
Absolutely.
do what they need to do.
Does it look like it's going to change anytime soon? Yeah,
What specifically? College?
Well, just the job market for kids, and I say kids because to me they're young, coming right out of college. But it as you said, we had this formula: go to high school, go to college, get into your field, and start working. And now this, and I don't know if it was brought on by COVID. I don't know if it was brought on by remote learning or even remote working during COVID. But there seems to have been a paradigm shift.
Probably all of it.
Probably all of it.
Technology and.
I think
Right.
COVID, like so many things, like exacerbated it, but it's been happening for a while. Tuition raises faster than just about anything.
It's insane.
And I think the hope, Mike, like you said,
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in market systems, and I think prices matter a lot, and these colleges are going to price themselves out, and that's what's going to force the change.
Even the UCs, I was on a webinar last night, and
yeah.
it was more expensive than I thought because I thought, okay, UC, even though they're impossible to get into, number one, especially for Californians, you'd think it'd be easier. But anyway, and I thought, wait, their tuition is really crazy too. Yeah. And one of the private schools we're looking at is, $90,000 a year, maybe 110 all in, and that's just
And the
how
debt
are we
kills
affording
me.
this?
Helping people with money and all that.
Yeah.
Debt, especially at that age when you should be compounding and
Right.
slowly starting to do this stuff, it's reverse investing. You have to, it really is reverse investing.
Yeah.
They're taking,
Your reverse investing.
yeah, the
with Howie
principal's
Font.
going up,
Yeah.
but you have to pay it off. Like it's not,
That we had that story that the jobs numbers were way overinflated.
Yep.
A while back, like 800,000 plus short.
Totally.
How does that affect things? And why is it always that and I'm not saying it's Democrats, it's Republicans. It seems that whoever's in office, they come out and tout these great jobs numbers, and then a couple of weeks later, or a month or two later, you hear this, well, it wasn't really so good as we thought it was going to be. Why is that? Is it just, are they looking like, well, hey, Howie just got a job at McDonald's, so look how many of those kids got jobs at McDonald's. The job numbers must be awesome.
Yeah. The way we do count jobs in the 21st century is kind of insane. We do these surveys and then we go back and check the unemployment rolls later. It just the lag that it takes. But things like that, the overcalculation of 800,000 jobs, the government spending had spiked during COVID, and then there's been a couple stimulus bills. And so the jobs that the government's responsible for, when you take those out, they actually have negative growth. So there's a lot of false signals, and I just think the market, I mean, the news today is that the labor force participation rate went down, and that's basically, the labor force is the pool of people in the country that are working or looking for work.
Wow.
And that number went down.
Yeah, so that's
Because
worse
what
than
they're-
unemployment.
What are all those people doing?
Yeah,
Collecting unemployment?
hanging out. Yeah.
Playing in casinos? Come on.
So it's, if you've been fired within 6 weeks or looking for a job in 6 weeks, you're out of the labor force
And
after
this
that.
job report, there's a new one coming out soon. Is what I
Great.
was just
Great.
reading. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
just
this-
the hits keep on coming.
We got
So listen,
more.
kids, if you're watching the Big Biz Show, go get them.
There is no
We're behind you 100%. We continue after this. Keep it here. In some Eastern Bloc countries, it's known as the Large Financial Program, but most of the world, it's called the Big Biz Show. Costa Draper Goren, our financial analyst, Howie with us here for the duration of the show at the bar. Always great to have you.
Fun having you here today. I like
Enjoy it. Yeah.
Okay, let's see if I can get this.
Whoa! Twice in one episode.
Yeah.
Truth be told, it is all them, the day trader trio, the best in the business, making us look good.
My faves.
How much time do you split between coasts?
I think 75-25
Okay.
east-west. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good deal. Somebody has to do it.
You hate it when people call it the left coast?
Are you doing some more videos with Devin? Some more
Yeah, where are we
Howie,
with that?
Devin take on the world?
There might be some things in the works, baking in the oven.
I like it.
The editing bay. Yeah. There were a couple things going on with Devin doing Parent Trap stuff where he's doubling up and
yes, Devon.
Yeah, Devon. I think Devon got ex-nayed.
He did?
So that's a little spoiler for a future.
Okay.
one.
Got it.
Okay. Great reference, though, for the Parent Trap.
Oh, I
Great
love it.
friggin'
No,
movie.
it was
Love it.
seamless too. It
Yeah,
was
without a
double
doubt.
Lohan. She
The,
did great.
Oh, I go back to the Haley Mills.
I know. I was going to say he
That's
he
right.
knows the Lindsay Lohan.
For a lot of people
We're back in
listening,
the
like,
day.
What were you talking about? Joining us right now, when I first came aboard with Sully and Lot 100 Studios and the Big Biz Show back in 2020, after COVID had taken my morning sports talk radio show and throwing it into the dumpster, and Sully threw me a bone, and that's why I'm so lucky to be where I am today. Alon Goren was one of the first people that I ever had the opportunity to sit down and talk with, and he is the founding partner of Draper Goren Blockchain, and he is back with us here on the Big Biz Show. Alon, when you first came on and we were talking, our executive producer Jared said, "Mike, get in there and ask questions and don't be afraid to ask Alon any sort of question." And I'm thinking to myself, I have no clue about what he's talking about.
Still
Jared.
don't.
And I'm like, what am I going to ask him? Alon, what's your favorite pizza topping? As we sit here and talk about blockchain. But you were one of those. Do I call you an early pioneer or somebody who was so far out ahead of it at the time?
I think I was just lucky in that I came from the crowdfunding world. I was into the financial technology side, and I just got myself in a room with these people who were the smartest people in the world. And, even for me, I would say that I've been doing this for many years now, but every few months get in a room with a new person who explains something to me, and I realized I didn't know what I was talking about either this whole time. So it's just very, very lucky to be early and be passionate about something like this and have participated. And now I'm even luckier that I get to invest in new companies and new entrepreneurs building in the space.
Alon, it's so good to see you again. I also interviewed you on America Trends many times.
Yeah.
I had to do a lot of research before talking to you because you are one of the smart people I put myself in a room with. But I want to ask you about, there's news coming out about stock market going down, job markets, real estate, all these things in the headlines. Talk to me about how those numbers and headlines impact the cryptocurrency world and the blockchain world.
So one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize is that when you have Bitcoin or Ethereum, or you're in the crypto world, in the sense of you're holding, crypto as a holding, a lot of people don't realize that it's most people who holds its most liquid asset. There's cash, then there's things like crypto, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then there's stocks. And when the economy goes down or when people are afraid and they sell their stocks, they sell it because it's easy to go into their Schwab account or into Robinhood and get cash from their stock. So same thing happens with crypto. So even though we wish it was, uncoupled and decorrelated from the economy and its own thing, it still is very tied to when people need cash. It's the quickest place to go to. So it is very tied in that respect. But what's great about it is that even though it is correlated in that way, it's very uncorrelated in the traditional sense that when, the government or institutions, change interest rates or print new money for stimulus packages or to bail out banks or things like that, Bitcoin's economics don't change, and there's no person who can change it. And so when inflation goes up, the price of Bitcoin goes up with it, but also is uncorrelated to the dollar. So a lot of people like in certain times like this to buy gold because it's kind of uncorrelated from the price of the dollar, and it's an inflation hedge. Well, Bitcoin is serving that same purpose, and now the world's largest financial institutions are recommending people put at least a portion of their portfolio into Bitcoin. So it's changing significantly in that way.
A longtime favorite of ours, Alon Goren, founding partner of Draper Goren Blockchain. Find him at dgb.vc.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I think I'm going to try to come hang out at the bar sometime very soon.
Do it.
Yeah, we'll even do it after the show. Wink, wink. Go ahead, Howie.
Alon, I actually haven't had the pleasure of interviewing you before, but when I heard you were coming on, I was so excited. I'm been very long all of crypto for a long time. I kind of trend towards being a Bitcoin maxi, but I hope you'll forgive me if that's not your creed.
A-okay. I'm a huge fan, obviously, but I would say if you were introduced as a day trader, so I hope you're not trading in and out too much, because I think holding long is the way to go.
I completely agree. I think you stack sats is
that's
the
right.
strategy there.
As the cool kids club say.
Outside of financials, and love crypto for that, what are you most excited about what's being built right now in this kind of crypto winter?
Look, for me, during the sort of crypto winter times, as we like to call it, it's the greatest time to meet entrepreneurs, because you're really meeting the true believers. You're not meeting the people who are looking for free money or looking for an easy way. It's hard right now for any startup in the crypto space. It's the same. So I love meeting the entrepreneurs who are here because they absolutely believe they're going to change the world with what they're building, and they just have to be doing it right now. And so my favorite kind of part in that is there's fun stuff like gaming and stuff like that. But when I look at the financial world, there's kind of a couple things that people are doing, right? There's the extreme side of what they call DeFi, decentralized finance, where they're kind of circumventing the whole current system. And then there is the sort of TradFi, the traditional finance folks, who are utilizing this technology to basically streamline the processes of things, make things easier to deal with. And they're just hitting the regulation head on and going, we think that technology and digitizing assets, whether it's real estate or other assets, will be more efficient if it's digital. And so I love meeting people who are creating those things, because even though it feels like, the train has passed when you think about Bitcoin, one, it hasn't. It's still very early. But in the world of startups, we're still crazy early. If institutions are just now finally participating publicly in this space, we have many, many, many years of growth and startups changing the way things go. So my favorite part, obviously, is meeting these companies who are taking these boring traditional assets and making them more exciting.
We are smarter anytime after we've done talking with him. Alon Goren, founding partner, Draper Goren Blockchain, dgb.vc is his website. Alon, so great to catch up with you. We hope to have you back again real soon. Keep it right here. More Big Biz after this. 175 countries and all the ships at sea. Special shout out to our men and women of the United States Armed Forces who are listening on the American Forces Network. It is the Big Biz Show. Costa sitting in for Sully, who's getting some new eyes. Of course, we have Mary Godwin with us as usual. And this is a treat. Our financial analyst, Howie with us here at the bar. The whole show. Sampling bottles behind me in between breaks. I love it.
Hey, how come those keep getting emptier and emptier? Like, what is happening there?
I know nothing. I know nothing at all. Our next guest is one of our favorites here on the Big Biz Show. He's the author of Future Proofing Your Business, Real Life Strategies to Prepare Your Business for Tomorrow and Today, and also The Naked Entrepreneur, a millionaire's journey from fear to true wealth. Right here on my other hand, our good buddy, keynote speaker extraordinaire, Mr. Troy Hazard. Back with us here on the Big Biz Show. Troy, I'm sorry you get me and not the big guy himself, but we'll try to muddle through it. How you been?
I'm good, mate. Good. Well, at least we're going to have an intelligent conversation this morning.
Save that
I also
tape.
need that clip.
Save that clip. Beautifully put. Way to start it, Troy. Troy, talk about the global sales training group you joined, what you're doing right now, and the fact that we've forgot how to sell.
Well, we have, and these guys have been great for my wake-up call as to how I sell in my business, because I thought I was pretty good at that. I mean, as I go into a meeting, I playbook everything, I make notes, I look for an outcome on the way in, all those sort of great things. But until you sit down with a group where that's their job day in, day out, you don't really know how much you've forgotten or how lazy you've got in that process. So it's been really good for me to understand the science behind that and how that really makes a big difference to the whole process if you focus from A to Z, not just on that one moment you have in front of the client.
Is the good old boys network way of thinking completely gone? You know, you just kind of walk in and kind of give it the old and hey, you know, we'll go drink a whole bottle of bourbon, have a big steak, and yeah, we'll close the deal. That type of thing.
I don't think it's gone. I think what's happened over the years is everyone's got older and we drink less, or we can't have those big lunches like we used to.
Sure.
But I think it still exists, but we've got lazy at that as well. I mean, I know that I don't catch up with as many people as I used to, you know, family and other things get in the way, travel, whatever. But we need to stop and make an effort to keep those networks open, because I think they're pretty important in that process. And sometimes we think we've got those relationships, but we actually don't.
Hey, Troy, I wanted to ask you, earlier in the show, we were talking about how COVID had affected learning and teenagers and job market and the effect that we're feeling, 4 years later. Are you seeing that still? Because it seems a little bit like, it's 4 years ago, we're over it. But it feels like the impact is now just kind of impacting these businesses. We're feeling it more. How are you seeing that play out?
Yeah, look, what happens in business is it typically goes broke 18 months before it actually does, because you just run out of cash. And so what I think we're seeing on the back of the pandemic is a lot of businesses that have struggled their way through, and now they're at that precipice where I'm seriously going to have to make this work, or I'm going to turn the lights out because I've got nothing left in the tank to keep going. And so that's the time we have to double down and dig deep. And the beauty of what happened through COVID was we're used to working like this in this little box. So that travel to a client, that presentation you have to do in a different city doesn't have to happen anymore. So there are some savings on the back of a major disruption to business where we can spend our time here doing more meetings, engaging more people and getting more done and saving money in the process.
Troy Hazard, one of the most sought-after keynote speakers in the world, one of our favorite guests here on the Big Biz with us today. You can find out all about him at Troy Hazard, H-A-Z, only one Z, A-R-A-R-D.com. Easy for me to say. Howie?
Hi, Troy. I'm really happy that I get to be on the same show as you. I mean, I really love just the mechanics of business and looking at it from an analytical point of view, but you're on the ground. Can you talk about, what it takes to make sure you've got the bells and whistles, you're doing governance properly, and due diligencing something or making it ready for due diligence?
Yeah, I think what's happened is that we as humans make decisions at the last minute. And particularly after the pandemic, we're all tired. So we've come back from summer holidays and we've decided that I don't like this business anymore, I'm going to sell it. And we launch into this process of a sale, not knowing that we should have started that process 2 years ago, because the amount of work that you have to put into the governance and the whole concept of keeping the backyard tidy doesn't happen overnight. And so when we make these decisions in business to get into business, get out of business, none of that stuff happens in a hurry. And so if we take a beat and start to look at the shopping list of things we need to address, both getting into business and out of business, it makes it a bit easier for us to process that.
Troy, how tough is it to get out of business? You know, a lot of people would think lock the door, throw the keys at somebody and just walk away, let it burn down, whatever. How tough is that for especially for small businesses?
Well, you're right. In small business, it's particularly tough because the exit strategy for many of these guys and girls is sell the inventory, turn the lights out, go on a cruise. Yeah. That's it. There is no enterprise value in their business. But if they stop and thought about it, then there's a half a chance they could create some of that value if they had good governance, if they had good financial records, if they looked for skeletons in their closet and made sure that they got rid of those things. All that stuff takes time. And in fact, you've almost got to have a full season, a full financial year to make sure that you are looking pretty and tidy for someone who's looking over your back fence for only a moment. You've been living in that business for maybe 20, 30 years. They're going to look at it for 20 or 30 minutes. And if they can't get a grasp of what you've got and the value of what you have in that business and get that grasp really, really quickly, then it's really not worth a lot. And that's where I think we come unstuck.
Troy, I'm a little just curious. I know it's a little bit of a tangent, but what do you think about partnerships? And is it easier if you're in the majority and you have complete control? Does this process go easier selling your business? Or if you have a partnership, you know, can you divide the labor, and is that generally efficient? I'm just really curious how that works.
Partnerships are just like marriages at the end of the day. Yeah.
that bad, huh?
You're either going to have a good one or you're going to have a bad one, and getting into it and getting out of it is equally as difficult. So I think what we need to do is just stop and work out if that partner is a right cultural fit, a right mental fit, you're on the same plane and you're thinking the same things, and that you can actually spend a lot of time with them, because you're going to have to. And getting out of that relationship is just as hard as getting out of a marriage. And so what we need to do is make sure that we've got documentation in place and that we've got rules in place as to who does what and when for what outcome and what purpose. And we make sure that we've got that all documented in a partnership agreement before you get started, because once that train leaves the station, it's really hard to backfill some of that agreement and those sort of rules you put in place for that partnership arrangement. So it's not so much whether you're a majority or a minority. If there are no boundaries, if there's no playground that you have to work in for that partnership, then it's likely going to get a little bit messy anyway.
He is the author of Future Proofing Your Business. Find out all about Troy Hazard, troyhazard.com. Troy, circling back to what you said about a different way of sales and maybe people need to adapt or they've forgotten. You know, I've always been told, hey, you have to continually be calling or emailing or dropping in on people just so they see your face, et cetera, et cetera. Is that still a rule of thumb? Because I'm starting to get the impression, though, that the drop-in, it's like friends coming by your house without telling you. Most people are like, I don't have time for this type of thing. Where are we with that in sales?
Well, I think if you're going to drop in, make sure you've got a bottle of wine in your hand. We call them arm swingers in Australia. If you don't open the door with your feet, you're not carrying enough food. So I think that art is still part of that whole process, but I think sometimes we've got to read the room, really. And I saw an interesting comment come through yesterday. Someone said, "Oh, would you like to have a quick call about that?" And their response was, "Under no circumstance do I need to get on the phone and talk to you." And that's because that's how they communicate. Yeah. And so if you look at Gen Z, Gen Y, they don't like to have a phone conversation. My gosh, my kids text me from the kitchen. So there's got to be a need and a reason to talk to these individuals in their narrative to suit their need. And if we can read the room well enough, then we can work out how we're supposed to communicate with them. And if it's a drop-in or a phone call or an email, work out what that guy or girl wants from you and communicate in that fashion.
You mentioned Gen Z, and you know, corporate America is still somewhat of an older group, but there's a lot of young entrepreneurs who are making a ton of money as well. Is it just a mismatch now of how do I figure out and how to go about doing it?
I think some of the old school rules have not been transferred to the new generation. And I'm guilty of that too. I get so busy in my world, and my world is now at board level, and as chairman of some of these groups I'm working with or businesses we have investments in. So I don't get down to the nitty-gritty operational day-to-day too much. And so as a result, I'm not transferring some of my skill set to the younger generation. And that's on me, because I need to take a moment to make sure that the guys and girls coming through the ranks keep some of the old school rules, but then apply some of the new ways to be more efficient and effective in the way we do business today. And if we can find that middle playground, I think we're going to have a really good mix of being able to talk to all generations for all needs and all outcomes.
Troy has a part of the greatest interview he's ever had on the Big Biz Show today. I'm so proud to say that.
I love that.
Troy, always appreciate it, man. We will see you again soon. All right, more Big Biz after this.
So interesting.
It is time once again for the Sports Biz Minute. It's brought to you by Prize Picks, largest daily fantasy platform in the world. Check them out at prizepicks.com. All right, we're going to start off in college athletics. Attorneys are expected in the Northern District Court of California for a preliminary hearing before a judge today in the House Hubbard and Carter antitrust case. They will argue the proposal to pay college athletes nearly $2.8 billion in back pay dating back to 2016 over lost name, image, and likeness revenues to be paid over 10 years, about $280 million annually. Speaking of college athletics, Oklahoma State is going to have to find a new way to promote NIL donations, that is, more on the QT than using QR. The NCAA blocked Oklahoma State from placing NIT-linked QR codes on the back of football players' helmets because the 1.5-inch squares are considered advertising and/or commercial perks, which are not permitted. NFL news, and Mary, this is going to affect you greatly. The season kicks off tonight. You got the Chiefs and the Ravens in Baltimore. In Chiefs news, Kansas City tight end Travis Kelce's representatives are being forced to deny that he and Taylor Swift have plans to split later this month after a document written on the headed paper of his PR company was spread online. The paperwork, which appears to have been created by LA-based firm Full Scope, reveals a strategy to make their split and says the date for an announcement of their split is on September 28th. It's all but a massive ruse.
No way.
That is your Sports Biz Minute for today, brought to you by Prize Picks, largest daily fantasy platform out there today. Find them at prizepicks.com. More of the Big Biz Show right now.
How am I supposed to continue on with the show where you're telling me that they're splitting?
What has solely important?
I need some Kleenex.
What is solely? Here, hold on.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with this news. I did not hear anything about this.
Okay. What has Sully said since day one?
He says it was all a ruse and it was manipulated. Right. I don't agree with any of that.
I don't care about any of it.
You really don't.
Well, that'll do it for the Big Biz Show today.
You don't look like a Swiftie.
No, but Sully is, I think he'll die on this hill, saying that this was a publicity stunt, obviously to get her, I guess, more NFL eyes and to get him more Swiftie eyes for his podcasting network. It's a fun theory.
Conspiracy theory. It's just too much. You guys, the conspiracy theories going around, it's just not accurate when it comes to this. They really wanted to try something out. I know this because I have done a deep dive into their relationship. When you watch it...
Sure. Go on.
There's just no way that there's...
So does it affect travel if you're within, 500 feet, or what's the deal? How much research have you done?
Exactly. There is a legal document outlining that. However, look, I'm not going to say that maybe they're not scripting when it comes out or when they hard launched and it was at a game. They probably, of course they did have to manipulate that because everything they do needs to go through a couple eyes. But the fact that they met and dated and fell in love, I don't think that was contrived. I really don't. I think that was absolutely real. Come on, band, DTC, what do you think?
Yeah,
DT?
survey. James, yay or
real
nay?
or not real?
I would hope it's real, but I don't know.
Brian?
I think so. I think it's
yes.
real.
Okay.
James?
Well.
Oh, James! James is my guy.
That was the power of some good PR.
I think it was real. I think there was
some love there.
True love?
Maybe there was
love.
some, manipulation of dates as to when they're going to announce it, because they've got a lot of people to think about, like their fans.
Yeah.
They need to think about how it's going to affect us.
Yeah, but they also have a lot of employees in their individual empires.
Sure,
and
of course.
if you can come together, even if you don't love her, just say, hey, Taylor, let's come out with this ruse that the pop star and the football player, and then I'll launch my really ugly line of clothes. That's Travis Kelce, by the way. And then I'll get more people at my concerts, and the billions of NFL fans are going to suddenly become Swifties, and the Brinks, we're just going to back the Brinks trucks up.
Did that happen? I feel like Taylor didn't get the same bump that Travis Kelce did.
I think that trailer. We'll just start calling them
Trailer.
Travis and Taylor. Trailer.
She didn't need a bump. She's doing her own thing. Just fine.
I think she's one of those people where she didn't. He's already.
He definitely got a bump.
He did.
Definitely got a bump, and he's
so
already.
did the podcast with the brother, because I listened to religiously.
Oh, and it's a phenomenal. It's a phenomenal.
I love them
podcast.
both. Yeah, it is.
But he's already one of the greatest tight ends in the history of the game. He's a sure ballot, first ballot. Pro Football Hall of Famer when his career is over. But that age-old saying, "Thou doth protest too much." The fact that there is such now a scramble by all of these people in this PR machine for Trailer that are coming out and going, "No, we don't know where this."
Sticking, by the way.
I know. We don't know where this came from, and even though it was on this company's stationery and it went out and there was a date and stuff, there's so many people coming out of the woodwork right now in the PR, Travis's group, Taylor's group, that type of thing. I'm like, where there's smoke.
So are we saying that
there's a friction burn?
That there's friction, that they're going to break up, but they're going to do it on a specific date, the weekend of
the 28th. Yeah,
because that facilitates grieving for the fans, or I don't know why would they need to delay?
Because it'll get more people to tune in.
Yeah, and if you read the article, it says, well, we want to give the situation a chance to breathe and things like that, and it just.
I don't think that any of us can talk about this because we are not at their level, and we haven't had to try to date at that level.
Deal. No more Trailer talk.
But I still love it. I will talk about it as long as it's positive, because I love them both and I want them to find. And I am jaded. I'm like, people talk about getting married. I'm like, don't do it. I am just like jaded over here. But I see their love, and they bring a lot of people a lot of joy for a lot of different reasons.
I really hope that they stay together for the rest of their lives, and they have the greatest life ever.
Really long.
Yeah, and they have a bunch of kids
to be on my side right
and
now.
a bunch of little trailers running around. I just wish them nothing but the best. NFL season starts tonight. I said in my Sports Biz Minute, you've got the Chiefs, defending Super Bowl champions. You've got Baltimore. A lot of people who think the Ravens have a great shot at getting back to the Super Bowl. You get fired up for the beginning of football season, or
college football. Big FSU guy.
Really?
Oh.
FSU.
Yeah. I'm a null.
Not good against Boston College.
Yeah, that's a little...
All right.
Yeah.
Mary, you
I'm
NFL
fired
or college?
up, but I still go back to the fact that the Chargers broke my heart many years ago, and I haven't really recovered. So I'm still looking for a team to root for. So Chiefs kind of have me interested. I like the Ravens because I've got friends from Baltimore.
Las Vegas, the Raiders. Baby, right
God, no! Nobody from San Diego can be a Raiders fan.
Just go think about Trailer.
You're nuts.
That is going to do it for the Big Biz Show. For everybody behind the scenes who makes it possible, they are the greatest in the world. Everybody in the studio who makes it possible,
Round of applause.
they are the greatest in the world. Goes without saying, the Day Trader Trio, gentlemen, great as always. Mary Godwin, Howie Font, I'm Costa. Thank you for tuning into the Big Biz Show. We'll see you next time.